Hi, I'm so excited to share with you a story that's a real live fairy tale. Not a fairy tale about a man and a woman, but a daughter and her father. It's a story about a daughter who had a hole in her heart for her daddy and needed to meet him, and a father who just got filled with love when he realized he had a daughter. This story is very personal to me because it is my husband, Grady Williams, and we're going to share this amazing story with you. Hi, why don't you tell us how this story began?
Well, I'd love to. In November of 2020, my younger sister came to us and wanted the family to all do DNA testing through Ancestry. And so we all did. And my DNA showed that I had a very high level DNA hit, which turned out to be the same level as a granddaughter. But there was a name, this was a name that none of us knew in my family. And so we began to do a little bit of investigating, and my older sister discovered that the mother of my granddaughter was a girl that I knew in high school. And so this was a major, major shock. And so we began to do some things to reach out. I endeavored to reach out to the mother, which was a girl that I knew in high school. And
so the DNA hit was a granddaughter.
The DNA hit was a granddaughter that I got. And so because you can't just insert yourself into somebody's life and say, hey, I'm your granddad, or hey, I'm your dad, we had to take things real sensitively and real carefully. But then we discovered that the daughter that I had never known who her father was and had been searching for her father. So I made contact with her through a private message and said, my name is Grady Williams. I'm a pastor of a church in Costa Mesa, California. I've been married for 46 years, and I have a high-level DNA hit with your daughter. And I knew your mom when I was in high school. If you'd like to talk to me about that, give me a call. 2 days later, I get a phone call from this beautiful lady, and she said, I didn't realize how beautiful she was until I saw her. But she said, hello, this is Lisa in Anchorage. Are you my dad? And I'm really shaking and quivering, and I could tell she was emotional too. And I said, well, according to the DNA, which I believe is 100% accurate, I am your father. And she began to cry and said, I've been searching for you all my life. And so that's kind of where the story begins. And there's so much more. And since that conversation, we decided that we would connect. And a couple months later, we were in Anchorage to visit my daughter, Lisa, and her family. And she said, you've also got 4 daughters. Because you've got 4 granddaughters because she had 4 daughters. And then she says you've got a great-grandchild on the way. So almost overnight, we had our family more than doubled.
And you got to meet over Father's Day.
Father's Day in 2021, in June of 2021, we happened to be in Anchorage during Father's Day. And so I got to share Father's Day with my new daughter, Lisa, and she got to share Father's Day with me. And so it was a wonderful time.
So Lisa, why don't you tell us the story from your start?
So I got the message on my phone, and I read the message, and I asked my husband, I said, does this say what I think it says? And he looked at my phone and he said, it sounds like you found your dad.
Oh,
It sounds like you've got a dad that's alive.
oh.
So
What did you do?
I called him immediately, and I knew right then that we needed to see one another right away, that I needed to see him immediately. So it was immediate connection. It was immediate, and you came right away.
We did.
And it's changed our whole family's lives, my daughter's lives, all my daughters and I are very close. And so when this happened, and knowing that I had searched for my dad my whole life, the joy that we all just were filled with and the excitement of how, and we all decided to just accept it and just go with how this is changing our lives, and just the love that was there when we met, and it's just been incredible.
Yeah, I was going to ask how your daughters felt when you shared this news with them.
Very excited for me, obviously, just knowing that, things had come full circle for me. And, but just the immediate connection as soon as you came to Alaska, with the daughters and everything, and just the bond, and how, just certain mannerisms and favoritisms. Anyway, it just all clicked. It just all came together, and the love that we just all shared right away.
Right away. And yet.
And I'm sorry, Dad. They just allowed it to change their lives as well.
Yeah.
It is amazing, because even though we were in many ways perfect strangers,
right.
And yet the knowledge, because we double tested, she went and had her DNA done, because it was her daughter that had the DNA done, and it was unmistakable. And then when she had her DNA done, bam, there the DNA doubled, and it was more than confirmed. But we knew. But having never met, the bond, I had immediate love in my heart for Lisa, immediate love in my heart for her and for her daughters, our granddaughters, and the great,
which we're so thankful for.
Yeah.
Because things. Not everybody's story is like that.
No. And we're still getting to know each other, and yet it feels like we've been in each other's lives all our life.
I want to back that up. What did you feel like when you first knew that you had a daughter?
It was shocking, because a little bit of my story is that I had pretty wayward years in my teenage years, and I met Christ. I am a pastor, and I met Christ when I was 19 years old. So I met Christ in August of 1972. Actually, Lisa had been born in April of 1972. And but I met Christ. I went to Bible college, where I met you, my wife, and we've been married for 46 years. And so to discover that I suddenly had a daughter that I did not know that I had was surreal, shocking. And to this day, it's still got an element of surreal to it. It's hard to comprehend. But I've been to Alaska twice now. This is Lisa's second trip here. Her daughter Shelby came down a few months ago with our new great-grandson. And there's just a family bond that's begun to take shape. And let me also say something, that this could not have happened without the overwhelming positiveness and encouragement and championing of my wife, you, telling me, Grady, you've got to follow through on this. Because when we saw the pictures there and said, well, wait a minute, this could be my daughter, these could be my granddaughters, but I can't just go bursting in and going, hey, I'm your dad, because you don't know what you can upset in a family. And so once we found out, it was a period of almost 4 months. Once I found the DNA and once we made contact with each other, it was almost 4 full months.
So back up, you didn't know before Ancestry about Lisa at all?
Clue. Not the slightest clue. And so that was a real shock.
And I didn't know that my oldest daughter had put her DNA in there.
You didn't know that?
And apparently when your sister contacted her, my oldest daughter didn't tell me anything about that. Someone was asking questions about my mother's name and different things that you might think, you might mention.
Yeah, she never told you.
She never told me that 4 months prior, Mom, I got this very strange request off Ancestry.
So
she
you had
didn't
no
even
idea.
realize that she had hit with this man. So it's just why she even put her DNA in there. I was just like, so it had to be a God thing, because there was no reason for her to go putting her DNA. She knows who her parents are. I was married to her father. There's no missing family. So there was this, why she even did that.
It is amazing, because my older sister got the DNA first. Her DNA results were already back, and she had seen my granddaughter, Lisa's daughter. She had seen her DNA there, And so she had made contact with her before my DNA had ever returned, and she said, you're a close family member. How are we related? And dear Laleen says, I don't know. And my sister said, can I ask you questions? And she said, ask away.
Sure.
And so it took a little bit because Laleen's last name was not a last name familiar to our family at all. None of us knew who these people
And
were.
if you knew Laleen, she didn't offer any extra. Yes. No.
Now,
I'm sorry.
one of the things I wanted to ask is, what are some of the amazing DNA similarities that you've seen?
Well, that's really, really great. Well, first of all, I see when I first saw a picture of Lisa, she looked so much like my mother.
And my third daughter looks so much like my dad.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I mean, and my third daughter and I, we normally say she favors me the most out of all. I have 4 daughters, and so out of all 4 of them, Gracie, my daughter, favors me the most. And so it's so amazing, that would be the daughter that they could be twins in high school pictures yes. And she's 22 now. So everything.
All the features. When I saw her,
and
that's
now
me as a teenager.
knowing why I just burst out in song and sing and have sang my whole life, and here he is constantly bursting out in song, singing lyrics and tunes. Now everyone in my family's like, it fits, Mom. Now we know you're not just the only one that does that.
It's bursting out into song.
Yes, because that's my charismatic, big, giant personality. And so those kinds of things have been amazing similarities that now it all makes sense where I got it from. Because my mother and I are not, my mother is not bold and outspoken and loud and everything that, I mean, I'm 50 now, so it's taken me a lot to tone that down a bit.
So what does it feel like finding your dad at this age?
Like you said, surreal. It's amazing. It's amazing, and I just praise God for it. I had no idea when I claimed my 49th year I was going to have an awesome finish out my 40 decade. I had no idea what the Lord had in store.
Right, and you were born in early April, and I think it was.
I was actually born on Easter Sunday. April 2nd of 1972. I was born on Easter Sunday.
Easter Sunday, and on April 26th last year, 2021, we made that first contact. So she had just turned 49, and she was just telling me today that she had been praying that for her 49, from 49 to 50, it would be one of her best years.
But also then we're going to celebrate Easter together. Exactly.
Yes.
1 year later, my 50th birthday, we'll celebrate together on Easter, and I was born on Easter Sunday.
Isn't that amazing?
So, and 2 of my daughters have made this trip to come down to be together.
Yes, this is.
And it's actually very, very special. So, and I have sang my whole life, and so, but never professionally or things like that. I've only ever sang in church, and I've sang in groups and things. And so just having that song in my heart my whole life has meant so much to me that it was just a dream all of a sudden that God allowed to come true in my life.
Yes.
That I would find my dad.
Yeah. It's been really
And so it
precious.
just makes so much sense.
Yeah,
really, really
how
does.
It
precious.
makes so much sense.
And then back to the DNA question too. So I saw my mom. I mean, when I first laid eyes on your picture, I thought, that's my mother. And I even went and got pictures of my mom at that age. Obviously, they're not striking twins, but the resemblance was uncanny for me. But when I saw the picture, and then I saw the picture of her oldest daughter, Laleen, and she looks so much like my wife and my daughter. And I'm going, the resemblance was.
My
so the
oldest daughter,
resemblance
yes,
was,
and she does. She looks like your daughter. Yeah. So
Right.
there's a lot of DNA things.
And I also, another thing too, and this is a little bit of aside, but also when I saw Lisa, because I remember Lisa's mother, though we were not boyfriend and girlfriend in high school, we hung out in the same crowds, and that was just the way it was in those days. And but when I saw Lisa's eyes, her big eyes, and I said I could immediately see her mother in her, and so we knew right away. But but some of the things like the music is one of them. The extroverted type of personality that's there, and the voice. I mean, this dear lady has a singing voice, and I just think that's so
untrained,
beautiful.
Precious.
just untrained. I have 4 daughters. I've always just sang for my daughters. You can ask them.
It's amazing. Music is in you.
It's just in my heart.
Yeah.
It always
As it
has
is in him.
So.
You told me a story a little while back too that you had always used to be singing a song from one of those Disney movies about somewhere out there or whatever, and you always felt like you were singing it to your dad, knowing that somewhere he was out there.
Well, just
Something
always,
like
just, and now realizing that all those years that was in my heart, it wasn't a princely man, it was my dad. It was my dad that was out there all those years. It was my dad out there under the stars.
Yeah.
It was my dad. It wasn't the prince that you think of when you're a little girl that you will marry, but that was always in my heart. And now knowing that it was my dad and it was real. It was real.
Yes.
It was real. All that hope and just looking up at that big sky, just feeling like there was something out there.
Thank you.
And it wasn't just, it was real. And it was him. And knowing that, you know, the Lord called me when I was young, and just knowing that those prayers, those were my prayers too. And God knew that I was out there and his daughter.
She said something interesting the other night too, that and I thought it was really a poignant insight, that in the years that we were praying for our 2 children that we had together, we were praying for our children that they would grow up to know the Lord and serve the Lord, and then Lisa was saying that, and she believed it, and I believe it too, because we are people of the Spirit, so we would also pray in the Spirit for our children, and that I really do believe that all those years that we were praying for our children to love and follow Jesus, that we were praying for her too.
Well, and I just believe that hedge of protection that you were praying for your children, that included me, because I've always felt the Lord's hand on my life, my whole life. And I believe that now. We can now have that. God's given us on this side of heaven this knowledge of each other, because it didn't have to be. A lot of people don't ever find their parents or their siblings, or it's not a good ending, or it's not a good story. And so this story has such an amazing continuation still.
Yes.
You're going to be great grandparents again. I just thought I would be a grandma again. And, you know, there's so much life still that we all have to still share together. And that's what's so amazing, is that we've allowed it to change our lives. Because some people might not be allowing it, that, oh yes, that's wonderful, you're my new daughter and everything's great. But they might not let it allow them to change their lives. Like, it's allowed, you guys have allowed it to change you, and to just accept and have all of this love that we all can share and be a part of together, and not let it have any bounds or.
I find that amazing too. Yeah, because when we went to Alaska, and your daughters, grown ladies, other than
Shelby flew down here to make sure that you met the great grandson together, and the love that has in her heart to do that as well, as sacrifices on every side of this story.
Our first trip
to be together.
Our first trip into Alaska, then hugging me and
Just,
calling me grandpa and everything like that, and calling you grandma. We've just been so accepted by the family. You're right. We've allowed, all of us have allowed it to change our lives, and it's been really wonderful. So we're looking forward to whatever days are ahead.
Well, and you're coming this summer, praise God, hopefully.
Yeah.
Well, we want to thank you for sharing this. This is an amazing story, and we just think we look forward to seeing what happens with this great story. Thank you for sharing it.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I'm so glad you got to hear Grady and Lisa's heart. I just want to add my little part because I believe that I am part of a God redemption story. So many people, when they've heard this story, have said, oh my gosh, Christina's amazing for handling this so well. And I say, no, it is not. It is God's love that he's put in my heart as well. I've been married to Grady for 46 years, and he's always been a man of integrity. But what I have been excited about is seeing this story unfold and understanding that I'm part of a God redemption story. The morning after we met Lisa, I was reading in my devotions, in Psalm 107, it said, God increases your family like flocks. And that's what he's done for us. He's increased our family like flocks and given us amazing love for this incredible family. And now we get to pray for all of them and see what God wants to do in this next chapter. So thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy this incredible story as much as we're doing watching it unfold before us. God bless you.